Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Backroads Channel with Mark, Rich, and Pam. I'm Mark, and living out a dream here, being able to play with model railroads. Who doesn't like playing with trains? Every kid loves playing with trains, adults. This is so much fun. Here with Kim Hornbaker, we're at the Eldon Depot Model Railroad display here. And what a display it is. We're gonna show you a lot of the sights and sounds, believe it or not, of what model railroading really is.
Well, we're fortunate enough, the museum come into some money several years ago, and we ended up buying this building. We didn't have it before that, and that's what made it possible to have a place to even think of building this, to put these other displays in here. It just become an addition to the museum. Like I said, we were very fortunate to have that happen on our part, and we had a guy that was with our club, or with the museum itself, Glenn Plua from down there at Dowd's, and Glenn got involved with them, and after we shortly had this building, and I think it was 2016, in the fall of the year, Christmas time or something, he started building this layout. But he's the one that designed it and got most of it built to this point. We've been adding more scenery and details to it. One thing that Glenn did do in the process of building all this, he did hand paint all the backdrops. All the landscapes on the back panels, he did paint them.
I don't think a lot of people really understand the scope of model railroading. Every detail has been thought out.
I've always told everybody, if you can think it, somebody's already thought of it. And you can have it just like you're thinking it. All you gotta do is use money. Somebody's already got it figured out. You can buy and do anything you want to. Make it be what you want it to be.
What are some of the most unique layouts that you've seen? I mean, we know what yours in Farmington looks like, and you've got basically everything there is to get there. But you've seen others in your lifetime, I'm sure. What are some that stand out?
There is a husband and wife team in Iowa City, Iowa, that has worked on theirs. They never had kids. So it's always been kind of the hobby. They didn't have any, and they've probably worked on theirs 30-some years, and it's gorgeous. But it's all they've done is build a model railroad in their basement. And it's not any bigger than this one. A lot more track on it, but footprint-wise, but it's gorgeous, gorgeous. There's a club in Quincy, Illinois, in the bottom of a senior home that's been there 35, 40 years. And it's a group, it's a club. And they've ran so many trains on that layout, they had to replace the track because they was wearing the rail out. But it's still down there. But it's in the basement of a senior home.
Are there a lot of clubs around anymore?
Not as many as there was. There's a lot of them slowly disappearing. I can say that they're slowly weeding out.
Would it be fair to say, though, that it's pretty much older individuals that still do model railroading?
So far it has been. I'm hoping, I'm knock on wood, but the new modern 3D printing, you can build buildings, you can build cars, you can do anything you can dream of, correct the scale and everything with the help of a good computer and a 3D printer. And those guys are really getting good. I think that's the answer to the young guys, because they like to be a computer geek. They want to, and now they can make something. Hey, I made this and it works and it feeds it. Maybe that'll make a tie that they'll say, I want to be back in the trains because I can make stuff to go with it.
Okay, we're talking about doing that for like buildings, houses, that sort of thing. Can you actually do that with engines, with cars, with track?
Yes, sir.
So 3D will do anything?
Yes, sir. And any size. All you got to, once you get one dimension, one size, and you know what you're working with is a ratio, either blow the ratio up or blow it down, and automatically the computer and the 3D printer takes it from there and makes it the correct size.
So you can basically tell the computer what scale you want.
You could make this tow truck and have it look just like this guy sitting here. And then we can make it half the size, or we can make it this big sitting there. And all you got to do is get the ratio in it, and once you do that, then the computer takes it from there.
And what would the tracks look like? Similar to these, or would they look different?
The tracks you don't do so much with 3D printing because you can't get the rail into it. But buildings, like I said, buildings and vehicles, man, that's huge grain facilities. All the pipes and dryers and stuff, that's become a big deal to make a large industry. Instead of sitting there cutting and doing it, turn the computer on and walk away from it a week, come back a week later, as long as it didn't run out of that filament in it, it's still making your parts for you.
For the older guys that have done this forever in a month of Sundays, doesn't that take some of the fun out of it though?
To a certain degree, but like I said, it's back to the deal. Hey, I designed it, I took pictures and put it onto the computer. I'm the one that made it happen. So they're the ones that say, hey, look what I made this do. Like I said, 3D printing, I think, is the answer. I think that's going to be the next niche to tie us together with the generation that's slowly getting out.
Boy, technology, though.
It ain't me.
It's something, isn't it?
It's clear up here on me. And you bring my grandson in here that's 18 years old, and it just drills at the mouth and goes crazy, and next thing you know, he's got all kinds of things going on. This is HO 187th.
Is that the most common?
This is the most popular worldwide. You can go to Europe, you can go to Japan, and you'll find 187th trains. It's more modeled after what they have in their neighborhood, but this is the size that you can find more of than anything. The next one would be N scale, like we got over here.
Is that the smallest?
No, there's a Z scale. It's even smaller than that.
Wow, what would that look like?
Well,
that'd be minuscule.
The guy that started the new train store in Fort Madison has a little Z scale in the bottom of a little cabinet there. You can see how tiny it is. He's got just one lobe running in the bottom of that. It's half again smaller than that.
What would be the advantage to a Z or an N scale? Just lack of space that
Yes.
you would need that?
A prime example with the Z scale, people buy them, take their coffee table, and they make a layout inside the coffee table, put the glass back on top of it, and there's their layout. It's in their apartment there in their house, and they can look at it day and night, watch trains and play with them while they're eating supper. But they have a train in their coffee table.
And probably dust doesn't get in there
Yeah,
much.
that part. And those, just because they're littler trains, don't make them cheaper. Usually the price goes up the smaller they get. It's like buying a good watch. You pay more for a good one than that's the same way with them trains. Those are made with some precision parts in them. They're expensive.
So you have Z, the smallest, then N,
Yeah,
then
then
O.
HO.
Oh, HO, okay.
Then you go to S scale,
Okay,
and it's a little between this and O scale. Then you go to the O scale,
okay.
and then you go to what we call garden railroad, and some of them call it S scale, some of it call it LGB. But it's like 1/20th scale. And then from then on, then you get into the live steam, live trains you ride on, get bigger and bigger and bigger. But up to what they build in a house, HO is probably the most popular, then N scale. The LGB, what we call garden railroads, are built in the backyard. You don't put them in your house, you build them outside. And you get into them to the point people will landscape their yard to become their layout. Like I build scenery in here, well, they do it in their yard. They put dirt in there. They'll even buy miniature trees. In Japan, they have all kinds of miniature trees. You can buy them and have them growing in your backyard to become the trees on your layout.
How big a backyard would you have to have?
Now, I've known some that's not much bigger than what this layout is. But then I've seen some that took up the whole backyard. It depends on how much they want to do.
So are we talking, what, a half an acre, beyond that?
Beyond that, some of them do. And they've got to the point with the This is running on a DCC chip with power out of the rails. They used to do the garden railroads that way. Well, now they've got them situated. You still put your chip and everything in it, but the first car behind the engine, you put a big battery pack in it, and you run it off of batteries. The track's all non-powered, so you can go out there and run around in the snow, and it'll run.
That'd be fun.
I've known guys that's made snow plows and snow blowers, and they'll actually use it in the wintertime, clear the snow off their tracks. But you about got to have the one with batteries. You can't do it with the power in that. But you could just literally take a boxcar and put it right behind the engine, plug the wires in so the power goes up there, and bingo. They call it dead rail. The rails have no power, but your trains run just like any other train.
So somebody wanting to get into the hobby, I mean, they're just starting from scratch. How do you go about that?
Depends on what your game plan is. I mean, do you just want a small little place? Some guys will build a deal along the wall. It might be 2 foot wide by 8 foot long or 10 foot long. And it's what we call a switching layout. Just a place to go down there and switch cars. And they're happy to have just that. And they'll sit there and switch day and night, play with that thing. And then there's guys that just can't get enough.
Like you.
Well, I'm not that big. I've seen some layouts that just blow me away. But I didn't ever want to be that big. But there's guys out there that's got some layouts that they had some bucks and they had a big shed, and the next thing you know, it's full.
Wow.
As I said earlier, the number one thing that determines what you want to do and how much you want to do is money.
Always comes down to that, doesn't it?
And like I said, if you can think it, somebody's already thought of it. And somebody's already decided how to capitalize on it. That's already happened. I don't care who you are, where you're at, it's already happened.
We appreciate you coming along with us to take a look at the Eldon Depot's Model Railroad Museum. Thanks to Kim Hornbaker for the tour, as always. And Kim, as impressive a layout as this is, people ain't seen nothing yet. Tell us what you got in Farmington.
I have a very huge layout of my own that I've worked on for 20 plus years. And we're in Farmington at Helmart Building, open on Saturdays for people to come see it. It's always been open unless I have a personal conflict and not there. But it's strictly by donations. We do not charge admission to come in and see it. But you can see two, I want to say pendulums of the hobby starting out and fairly simple layout in here that we have got established, a long ways yet to go. Or you can see one that's just totally been blowed out. But it takes time, lots of time.
And a little bit of greenback, too.
It takes a little of that. The time's the big thing.
Yeah.
Time's a big thing.
Very time consuming, but so much fun. So if you've been thinking about getting into model railroading, we can answer some of those questions for you too. So come to the Eldon Depot and check it out. Check out the museum too. No admission fee. It's all by donation. It's a great time and very educational too. So be sure to like and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. Until next time, for Mark, Pam, and Rich on the Backroads Channel, I'm Mark. See you next time.